Item number SCP-003. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-003 is to be maintained at a constant temperature of no less than 35 degrees Celsius and ideally kept above 100 degrees Celsius. No living multicellular organisms of Category 5 or higher complexity may be allowed to come into contact with SCP-003. In the event of total power failure, if SCP-003-1 begins to increase its mass, assigned personnel must engage in skin contact with SCP-003. Ideally, personnel may use their body heat to return SCP-003 to above a critical temperature. However, skin contact must be maintained even in event of SCP-003 reaching activation temperature, lasting at minimum until SCP-003 advances fully to its second growth stage. Personnel who enter SCP-003's containment area must be first examined for body parasites of Category 5 or higher complexity, and sterilized if such organisms are presented. All personnel who have come in physical contact with SCP-003 are to immediately report to sterilization afterwards. SCP-003 must not be removed from SCP-003-2 except in case of emergency procedures detailed above. Any significant change in SCP-003-2's rune activity, including pattern, frequency, or color, should be reported within 3 hours of occurrence. Cessation of rune activity must be reported immediately. SCP-003-2 must be supplied with power via a source of designated generator 003-IX at all times. Description: SCP-003 consists of two related components of separate origin, referred to as SCP-003-1 and SCP-003-2. SCP-003-1 appears to be composed of chitin, hair, and nails of unknown biology. Similar to SCP and SCP. Arranged in a configuration similar to that of a computer motherboard. Testing reveals SCP-003-1 to predate earliest known circuit boards by a factor of thousands of years. SCP-003-1 is considered sentient, but not only actively dangerous except under certain conditions. SCP-003-1 was found on a stone tablet. SCP-003-2, on which it currently resides. The runes of SCP-003-2 are not part of any known language and emit pale, flickering light patterns. SCP-003-2 is controlled by a non-biological internal computer, the contents of which are mostly inaccessible without the risk of damaging SCP-003-2. SCP-003-2 is capable of controlling emissions of radiation, including heat, light, and anomalous radiation types. SCP-003-2 contains an internal power source of which anomalous nature, which appears to have been losing power since several centuries before discovery. It is considered probable that SCP-003-2 was created for the purpose of containing SCP-003-1. Practically interpret data recovered from SCP-003-2 may refer to the past and/or potential future, LK-class reconstruction event caused by SCP-003-1. SCP-003 was located by remote viewing team SRV-04-Beta. It appears possible that SRV-04-Beta was deliberately contacted by SCP-003-2. Other organizations have also been alerted to SCP-003's existence, possibly by similar means. Despite this activity, SCP-003-2 does not appear to be sentient, based on its lack of reaction to MO3 Georgia analysis of teasers. When SCP-003 drops below the temperature of 35 degrees, both components react. First, SCP-003-1 enters a growth stage characterized by an exponential increase in mass. This growth state consists of two stages. In both stages, SCP-003-1 particularly fuels on its growth and by covering matter around it, starting with any surrounding inorganic material, including atmospheric elements, then non-living organic material, including cells of dead skin, hair, chitin, enamel, keratin, and other biological materials. The first stage is always the same. SCP-003-1 will first increase its mass, then take the form of similar in shape to an aurifoid brittle star of 15 meters of diameter, including what appears to be a central processor of 3 meters in diameter. It will form sensory organs that appear to scan its surrounding environment, and will particularly cover the area around it in an unidentified enamel substance. SCP-003-2 seems immune to the conversion. The second stage described a growth alternation, which occurs when SCP-003 comes into contact with living organic material. SCP-003 appears to template itself onto an organic material and will attempt to communicate with organisms that match its initial template or templates. In its second stage, SCP-003-1 may pause, slow or change its growth, and will also convert inorganic and non-living organic elements into functionally similar structures which anonymously alter its physical makeup. While growth is consistent in the first stage, in its second stage, SCP-003-1's growth rate is diminished by 20 to 90%, so long that SCP-003-1 remains in contact with living organic material. The percentage is determined by complexity of organisms in contact with SCP-003-1. SCP-003-1 appears to devote a large amount of processing power to analyze the living organic material. During each of SCP-003-1's growth stages, SCP-003-2 releases bursts of radiation and temporarily inhibit SCP-003-1's growth, or reverse this growth when the temperature of SCP-003-1 rises above 100 degrees Celsius. Similar radiation emissions have been replicated and recorded via other anomalic means.